There are a lot of shiny hunting methods in the Pokemon series, but what would happen if you tried to hunt every single one in one stream? Well, turns out you'd get a really long 273-hour stream and a video like this one where I'll show you the 20 plus shinies I found, which methods I used to hunt them, and hopefully give you all a thorough breakdown of how each of these methods work. The idea behind this stream was to do a twist on a subathon, but instead of donations increasing the length of the stream, they instead allowed chat to choose new targets for a hunt, nickname the shiny when we find it, and so on. I figured this would be a fun stream idea, both to say that I've hunted a shiny with every method in one stream, and to help cover some upcoming moving costs. So on that topic, like and subscribe, maybe check out the Patreon, and let's move on to our first big question for this. What exactly is a method? The prototypical example and the namesake of the term is the Masada method, a feature introduced in Generation 4 that causes eggs to roll their personality value multiple times to give multiple chances at finding a shiny Pokemon if the parents of that egg have different languages of origin. For this challenge, a method will be defined as either certain actions the player can take while encountering Pokemon, or certain conditions that a Pokemon can be encountered in that will increase the rate of finding a shiny Pokemon. But just as important as what we'll be considering methods for this challenge is what we will not be considering. First up, we're only going to consider features that boost the shiny rate intentionally. How would the developers boost the shiny rate without meaning to? Well, that mostly comes in the form of older games generating PIDs within certain constraints. For example, famously, the Cute Charm ability in Generation 4 has tables of predetermined PIDs that it chooses from based on the gender of the lead Pokemon and the gender ratio of the wild encounter, leading to a ludicrous 22% approximate shiny rate for very specific trainer ID and secret ID combinations that result in shiny personality values on one of these tables. Secondly, I'm only considering boosts that aren't tied to timed events or one per save file encounters, disqualifying always shiny encounters and gifts like the Lake of Rage Gyarados, the Odd Egg from Crystal, shiny mystery gifts, and the limited time event outbreaks in Paldea and event Dynamax raid dens in Galar. Third, I will only be considering mainline Pokemon games for this challenge. There's a whole rabbit hole of methods found in spin-offs like Pokemon Rumble, Pokemon Go, some of the Mystery Dungeon games, and I'm sure there's even more that I'm forgetting. For everyone's sanity, I will be drawing the line at mainline methods only. And yes, Legends Arceus and Legends ZA count as mainline. Lastly, and perhaps most controversially, I will only be hunting methods that have an increased shiny rate rather than an increased encounter rate. This means that hunting on multiple consoles, Dark Grass and Unova, Horde encounters in Kalos and Hoenn, and massive mass outbreak permutations in Hisui won't be considered their own method, because despite seeing more Pokemon in a shorter time frame, the shiny rate of each individual Pokemon spawned this way isn't higher than outside these contexts. With these constraints, the last lingering question is what to do in scenarios where there are multiple methods that can be combined. For example, in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, you can have a lure active giving one additional shiny roll and at the same time have additional shiny rolls from an active catch combo. For these situations, I will only mark off one of the active methods that contributed to the shiny. So a shiny that spawns from a catch combo during a lure can count as one or the other, but not both. On a similar note, there is one thing that isn't covered by any of our exclusions earlier that won't get its own dedicated shiny hunt, and that's the shiny charm. Because it can be combined with almost every method since its introduction, we won't do a specific shiny charm only hunt. Rather, we'll make note of when it boosts the shiny rate for a given method and how it interacts with each game. With all that out of the way, it's time for day one of the Shiny-thon, and we're kicking off with a method I'm very familiar with, the Generation 6 Poke Radar. Now this is a method I've dedicated an entire video to, so I'll summarize the radar here in Kalos and encourage you to watch that video if you'd like to know more. Shinies here come from sparkling grass patches that increase in likelihood up to a maximum of 1 in 100. There's a whole thing about each ring of tiles having its own shiny rate based on their differing rates to continue the chain, but if we catch 40 Pokemon in a row and start using the radar over and over again, we have a 2.52% rate to find a sparkling patch. Our target here is Pancham, chosen by user Scaravis. Luckily, as Pancham is a denizen of Route 5, this gives us access to the largest and most complete patch of flowers in all of Kalos, so I was confident that my years of radar experience would deliver us to an easy first shiny. And so we will get 4 patches every activation, because the 9x9 centered on us is complete. But basically, the further away a patch is, the more likely it is to be shiny, just by virtue of the fact that it has to be chain continuing before it can be shiny. Alright, that was fast. There we go. That was like, what, 5 minutes of resetting the radar? And if you catch a Pokemon from a shiny patch, and the special bonus music was not playing, it resets your shiny rate back to 1 in 8,100. And so you can actually do like a full odds shiny patch that's rarer than a full odds shiny by doing that. There we go. First shiny of the Shiny-thon. We got Boo the Pancham. With our first method of 22 down, why not run it back with, well, the same method but with fewer pixels? At the behest of Yarnity, we're off to Sinnoh Route 214 in search of Spoink, one of the possible daily swarms around the region. This is very similar to the Kalos radar both in mechanics and in that I have an entire video covering said mechanics. So I'll point you there and say that at a chain of 40, our shiny patch rate is 1 in 200, with about a 1.16% rate for a shiny patch to appear. At this point, I consider getting the right swarm to be a bigger challenge than actually radaring most Pokemon in this game, so it wasn't too surprising that it only took one chain before this happened. Come on, shiny patch. Pancham was so nice to us, why won't Spoink be 5 minutes of resets? Ignore that it's twice as rare as a shiny patch in XY at the same chain length. Hey, there we go. Shiny Spoink. I'm just basically hoping it doesn't magic code on the turn that I go to Hypnosis. Well. Joke's on you, neither of us can land a Hypnosis. There we go. With only a few hours remaining in day 1, I wanted to see if I could pull off the hat trick and get a shiny with the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl version of the radar, a method I explained when we hunted Scyther. User Soft Velvets asked that we hunt a Glameow, who makes its home on Sinnoh Route 222. I was less confident in this method because while it does reach slightly better odds than the previous 2 iterations capping out at 1 in 99, there's one key difference that makes getting to a chain of 40 much harder. No matter how common the Pokemon you're chaining is, if the game decides your chain is broken, there's no saving it when you're sent into a random encounter. Either you continue your chain after each encounter, or you're booted back to 0, no in between. The Generation 8 radar does have the other 2 beaten handily on speed to build the chain, however, as patches of grass on the edge are no longer as dangerous as they were previously, making the BDSP radar the most go fast and break things of the bunch, and boy, did we ever break things. Okay, so that was just a Natural chain break. You just get a Glameow encounter, and the game decides, actually, no. That chain doesn't even start. And the chain broke at 8. And literally, there's nothing you can do about that. It's just a flat 7%, 7%, 7%. If you hit any of those, your chain breaks. It is interesting that they kind of did away with the whistling noise of critical catches. I think that started in Gen 8 with Sword and Shield. 33. Chain broke at 8. News at 11. Alrighty, chain break at 5. Chain break at 10. Again, it's just like, I got the Master Ink Ribbon on a Melmetal, but I didn't get one on a Meltan. Wish I did. There are a couple I got one. All right, chain break at 21. I might go make some dinner if this chain persists past 1, which is not a given for some reason. Oh, chain break at 9. Okay, but one more good one. All right, but one more good one. What is this chain break at 3, chain break at 4 nonsense? Like, at least, so the BDSP radar is quick. Like, you can rack up a chain pretty quickly. It's just you're always at risk of just it breaking at any point. But like, you get good patches way faster when there's no edge patches. Anyway, I'll say one more double-digit one was good enough. Didn't end up getting the radar hat trick, but this will be where we leave off for tonight. But the stream will keep going. I simply must sleep. Chain break at 16. Chain break at 13. Chain break at 3. We're on to our third radar hunt, and it's the least cooperative of the 3 so far. As evidenced by that chain break at 17. Alright. This is the 40th Glameow, which is, I think, guaranteed to trigger that staring animation that indicates the Pokemon has higher IVs than normal, because the 40th Pokemon always has 2 guaranteed IVs. We have a 7% chance for the chain to break after this, and a 93% to actually get to go to the part where we look for the shiny. Let's see where we fall. We hit the 93. There's a hidden ability, Glameow. There we go. Hello, you're just in time.
How's it going?
We found the shiny patch. Hello, Miss L.
Yay! Oh, you're so large on my screen.
Yippee!
How's it going? Congrats on your shiny. It's a funny coincidence that I hopped in the call right as you found it. I really need to get a shiny alpha purloin and
A third method complete. And hey, the chain continued, but I don't need a second one. Having exhausted our Pokéradar hunts in the first 2 days, I spent the rest of day 2 trying out a new method that I never really gave much of a shot, the Grand Underground Diglett bonus. For those unfamiliar, while exploring the tunnels, there's a chance you'll stumble across a Diglett or a Dogtrio, usually at corners and crossroads. Walking over them adds to a shared bar, and when the counter reaches 40, a whistle will sound with the message that something good may happen in the Grand Underground. What this actually means is that dig spots will be overwhelmingly likely to contain gorgeous stone boxes containing shiny statues, and while the shiny charm doesn't work on wild Pokemon in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, any Pokemon that spawns in the caverns while the bar is filled will have one additional shiny roll, granting an approximately 1 in 2048 rate to be shiny. The issue with this method is that grabbing Diglett by yourself is incredibly slow, taking 6 to 10 minutes to fill up the bar for 4 minutes of boosted shiny rate. So I would only recommend this method if you can assemble a lobby of multiple players. In my case, I basically threw the code on screen and invited my friends and chatters to collect Digletts. For my money, the best way to hunt the Digletts down here is to use a digger drill to move your secret base right outside of a Diglett spawn point, and then just move in and out of your secret base to continually respawn the Digletts. There is the silver lining that 4 minutes is just enough time to get into a cavern, clear it out, and then re-enter before it resets. And because all of the Pokemon receive their additional shiny roll when you enter and not when you encounter them, you can get 2 full sets of encounters each time the bar hits 40. If we get lucky with the Dugtrio spawns, it's even possible for a full lobby to refill the bar before I'm even done clearing out the second group. And while we didn't find any shinies down here today, this will be a hunt that we'll be chipping away at over the course of the Shiny-thon. Heading into day 3, our next target set by user Sir Steggles is to find a Maractus using the Generation 5 Lucky Power method. Now this hunt is both one that I haven't explained in a previous video and the first where we can't completely isolate our target, so let's address both. For hunts where multiple species can be found while engaging with the method, I will be encountering whatever comes our way, and whatever shiny we find first will be our shiny for that method. This way the encounter rate isn't completely torpedoed by hunting for a very specific rare spawn. Speaking of hunting specific rare spawns, Lucky Power is a pass power that's designed to do exactly that. What are pass powers? Well, if you do enough Entralink missions in Black and White or Funfests in Black 2 and White 2, the entry growing at the center will begin to level up and unlock temporary powers that you can activate in exchange for pass orbs. Exclusive to Black 2 and White 2 is Lucky Power, which makes common Pokemon rarer and rare Pokemon more common. The most important feature of Lucky Power for us is one that the game never indicates to the player. Buried in Volume 2 of the Strategy Guide, we can find a note that using Lucky Power 3 or S increases the rate of shiny Pokemon appearing. And going off of research done by other shiny hunters, it seems that it increases the shiny rate by doing exactly 1 additional PID reroll, resulting in an approximate 1 in 4096 rate without the shiny charm and 1 in 2048 rate with it. In order to unlock Lucky Power 3, the entry needs to reach level 49 in both White and Black, with the level increases from Funfest matching the version of the game that hosted the mission. If we reach Black level 100, however, we unlock Lucky Power S. The two versions have identical effects, but level S costs 50 pass orbs for 10 minutes as opposed to level 3 costing 30 pass orbs for 3 minutes. While the upfront cost on level 3 is lower, the overall cost on level S ends up working out to be cheaper in the long run. The bag can hold up to 999 pass orbs, which we can easily accrue in the gauntlet of Funfest missions leading up to Black level 100, and we can have one of our party Pokemon hold a pass orb so we can hold an even 1000. Luckily, I had already reached Black level 60 by participating in Absolblog's Pokemon's Funfest meetups at events over the last 2 years. The game doesn't force you to save when you use pass powers, so like their descendant, O powers, you can reset the game to regain anything you spent if you didn't get anything worth saving and go again. There we go. There's a Lucky Power shiny. The red Dwebble. $430 encounters, not bad. It's a 1 in 2048 with the additional shiny roll. Not the correct target, but like I said earlier, the way we're gonna do this is if you give me a target that isn't able to be isolated, I'll give it a try, but choosing a target means you choose where we hunt. And I'll hunt wherever the best encounter rate is in the context of that method. Which for Maractus means a 5% here in Desert Resort. Yippee! We continue our bug hunting marathon with our next hunts being chosen by our resident bug enthusiast, Toxicognath. First up is an old Paldean tradition, Sparkling Power Sandwiches. With the dozens of Pokemon that you can spawn in short order in Paldea and each level of Sparkling Power granting one additional shiny roll, adding the shiny charm brings us to an approximately 1 in 683 shiny rate. And this method needs little introduction, being able to find multiple shinies within the 30 minutes per sandwich. You have to be wary if a sandstorm kicks up when we find the shiny. Because for some reason Rellor is not a ground type and will take sandstorm damage. Oh, there's a phase. There's a little technique you can do. If a Pokemon stops to roar at you in the overworld, you can just run behind them and catch them off guard. Yeah, some of the biggest bugs in Scarlet and Violet, for real. Now, if this were another method, I would probably just be like, and that's the one we get for that method. Like I did with Lucky Power, but honestly, we can go to the end of this sandwich. I don't mind at all. Or not. A marked Reller. There we go. Honestly, Safari Ball's kind of perfect for it. I know a lot of people go Luxury Ball here, but... But yeah, there we go. Done with sandwich power. I knew it would be easy. Let's see what Marka has. Alright, we expected that, but there's a fifth method done. As our final member of the Bug Triumvirate, Toxic also pointed us to the Friend Safari in search of Leddyba. The Friend Safari is a really cool area that I haven't actually shiny hunted in all that much, so this will be my first shiny from this method. Just being in the Friend Safari at all gives us 4 additional shiny rolls, bringing the shiny rate with the charm to about 1 in 585. Ledyba is actually found in one of my Friend Safaris that I have from one of my other 3DSs. In fact, I have a Ledian that a friend traded to me originating from this very Friend Safari. With local communication, I'm able to unlock the 3rd encounter slot by seeing that other system on the PSS in a game with the Elite Four beaten. You can still make new friends and open new Friend Safaris even after the shutdown, but unlocking the last slot and enabling hidden ability encounters these days requires actually being in proximity to that 3DS and presumably its owner in person. There we go. Not going double odds, though. We were being threatened with it. Staying within the 3DS era, user DSE76190 chose Zorua as our target for the SOS method in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. The SOS method gives us 11 additional shiny rolls after a chain of 31 encounters, bringing us to a 1 in 273 shiny rate with the charm. As for how we'll get a battle going that long, the usual strategy is to give one opponent the ability Harvest and a Leppa Berry such that they'll never run out of moves. Zorua is slightly more tricky in this regard, as Illusion is an ability that doesn't like to be moved around. Unlike most form-changing abilities, however, it isn't entirely immune to being messed with. By giving our Harvest Executor the move Worry Seed, we can overwrite Zorua's ability to Insomnia, which then allows us to skill swap Harvest and bestow a Leppa Berry. Zorua has a very high call rate, so high in fact that it has a 90% chance to call for help at 1 HP with an Adrenaline Orb active, and by extension, other Zorua are very likely to answer the call, going so far as guaranteeing a new ally on the next call if it fails to receive one previously. There we go. They had to stop me from exposing their scam. The Zorua school could not be exposed to the public. I would use a Moonball here if I had one, but I traded them to Sun and Moon when we SOS hunted Alolan Vulpix. I unfortunately didn't grab a Roto Catch before this. I thought about it. Roto Catch, very useful for catching things in Beast Balls. I've caught a lot of legendaries in Beast Balls because of it. Stop that. Don't you dare call in another shiny. There we go. That sweating Pikachu icon is really funny. Here's your medicine for being asleep. The medicine that makes you wake up. Continuing our great run of shinies today, DSE also requested that we search for Zorua in its Hisuian form over in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Hisui has 3 methods, all of which can be applied to Zorua. I figured the best place to look for it would be in mass outbreaks in the Alabaster Icelands, which give a gargantuan 25 additional shiny rolls. The shiny charm is also more powerful in Hisui, granting 3 additional rolls instead of the usual 2. Massive mass outbreaks are quite a bit less powerful, only sporting 12 additional rolls but have the opportunity to show up multiple times on one map. And if we find an MMO with a second wave of Alpha Zorua, we can use permutations to see hundreds of new alphas from the same outbreak. The last method is much more passive, in that if we have research level 10 for a Pokemon, it will be granted 1 additional shiny roll, and perfect Pokedex research will grant another 2 on top of that. Overall, a Zorua outside an outbreak will have an approximately 1 in 585 shiny rate, inside a massive mass outbreak will be 1 in 216, and inside a mass outbreak will be 1 in 128. That is, if we can find enough Zorua outbreaks to hunt one down. I'll check the berry outbreak, why not? Oh. There's a shiny Snorunt. I saw that out of my peripheral and I thought it was Tornadus's like wind cloud, but no, it was the shiny Sparkle. Well, there we go. There's a if you'll check the notes, we have a research level of 10 for Snorunt, which grants 1 additional shiny roll, meaning this is a Pokedex research Snorunt. Bonk. He's Neo. He is the one. He sees the code. Alright. Rude but fair. There we go. Yippee! That's another method down. Whoop. Hold on. That's our mass outbreak shiny. So now it should be as simple as just scaring them off again. Can I throw these? Oh. Did that one see me? They're so skittish. Literally, I was just, like, on the shore. One of them spotted me and, you know, turned into dust. And then the shiny spawned, got, like, a hint of my scent and followed suit, turning to dust. There we go. There we go. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. I didn't mean to fly past any other MMOs on the way here, but there's an MMO shiny. He sleep. Nothing to see here. Coming off day 4 having found nearly a quarter of the total shinies for this challenge in one day, it was time to shift away from methods I was familiar with and go for one with which I had next to no experience, as Sons of Zeruia gave me the task of using DexNav to find a shiny Druddigon. DexNav is more akin to a stealth minigame than a shiny hunt, wherein Pokemon will sprout up somewhere in the overworld randomly or by the player searching manually to sniff out a specific species. If the player is sufficiently sneaky, they can get a chain going of multiple successful searches, potentially scoring a higher shiny rate the higher they go. The shiny rate from this method is much more volatile than simply re-rolling the PID a certain number of times, however. As you encounter more of a species, the search level will increase. As the search level increases, so does a number that's called the target value. When a DexNav encounter begins, the game rolls a number from 0 to 9,999 and compares it to the target value. If the random number is lower, the encounter will be forced to be shiny. Raising the target value isn't the only thing that increases the shiny rate, however, as certain actions can grant additional rolls on the 10,000 sided die. The shiny charm in this method acts to grant 2 rolls, and additional rolls are granted at certain milestones in a chain, with 4 additional rolls 5% of the time or every time the chain reaches a multiple of 5, 5 additional rolls at every 50, and finally 10 additional rolls every 100th encounter of the chain. This all combines to a potential maximum shiny rate of 2.69 on the 100th encounter of a chain at a search level over 900. The issue with this is that chaining in a cave or on water is rough. The Pokemon will teleport between a few different spots, and you need to make sure you can get close enough to leap on it when it pops back up, but not so close that you overlap with one of its potential locations or it will instantly despawn when it tries to reappear there. Also, after just a handful of successful encounters, the Pokemon will start zooming between spots way faster than before. Also, did I mention there's a time limit? It's pretty generous for the first few spawns of the chain, but after that, if you aren't on top of the Pokemon within a few seconds of it spawning, it will vanish. Keep in mind, you can't walk or run at all within a pretty large radius while approaching the Pokemon or it will similarly skedaddle. And even if you get within arm's reach of the Pokemon before a few seconds have passed, there is a chance that the Pokemon will waste one of its few movements on spawning an empty cloud of dust that doesn't actually let you encounter the Pokemon. In fact, it can do this multiple times, meaning the only opportunity you actually had to encounter it was all the way across the cave when it spawned. I'm convinced maintaining a chain past single digits in a cave or on water is a matter of blind luck if the Pokemon decides to start out nearby, and these mechanics only really ever kick in for chains in grass where the Pokemon doesn't teleport around like an anime protagonist.
Yeah, is that actually, wait, is that a thing?
Spray cheese, yeah, unfortunately.
What? Yeah, that would not be, that would not be real cheese. That just seems very impossible to be real cheese.
Well, because you don't refrigerate it most of the time either.
You'd think it would taste like cheese too, but that's where you're wrong.
For those of you who are joining right now, we are talking about eating potatoes.
Yeah, we were talking about eating raw potatoes and then spray cheese.
And spray cheese. Taking a good chomp, but not, because spray cheese sounds terrible.
See,
And also sounds like it would not be the
just...
consistency to chomp either. I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah. See, Joshua, I see it's the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I understand the reference. That made it look so good, and then you have it for the first time, and it's like, wow, this is something else.
Yeah.
And that something else is not cheese.
Though actually, you know what that makes me think of? I feel like everyone has that food that they're like, oh, that looks like it would be so delicious, and then you eat it and you're like, man, I don't like this. For me, it's macarons. And that was the saddest thing to discover, is that I don't like those.
Yeah.
But the Victini movie.
Yeah. Dude, the Victini movie though.
Hey, shiny Dredagon. Speaking of
nice.
Gen 5 anime.
You're free.
No, that's true. Claire has one of those.
Yippee!
That's huge, actually.
149 dex naved.
Oh.
I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. What was the chain at though?
Like 1 or 2, because the chain breaks if you
wow.
fail to grab any Pokemon. It did
Yeah.
have the red.
Oh my gosh.
I was told the red exclamation point in the center circle, like above their head, indicates that it has the boost, but I was getting that on like every other one, and it's only supposed to be a 5% if it's not on a multiple of 5.
Yeah.
I think the exclamation point just means it has like a egg move or like.
Yeah, I believe
like
so.
Any nature guesses?
Ooh, I'm gonna go lonely, but not anymore.
You know, I'm gonna say that's a sassy dragon.
That is modest.
Nice.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad for Dredigan.
Well, being Dredigan is bad for Dredigan's competitive viability, so. After being freed from what is, in my opinion, a very frustrating method and making it to the halfway point of our challenge, we thankfully had time to relax with another complimentary shiny courtesy of the Paldea region. DSE chose for us to hunt Voltorb, which reaches a 1 in 512 shiny rate by combining the Sparkling Power and Shiny Charm from before on top of the 2 additional rolls from clearing at least 60 Pokemon out of an outbreak. While I don't have the Pokeball-themed event outbreak saved anywhere, getting an outbreak of a specific species is pretty simple. For finding our outbreak, I'd like to share a trick that I developed when trying to get Wattrel outbreaks in the tiny band between the Cortondo Olive Roll field and the nearby cliffs. First, enter a union circle with the game that you want the outbreak on as the host. If you aren't going for an event outbreak, make an on-type encounter power sandwich, optionally using the Herba Mystica of a non-host game so you can reset to get it back. Open the map of the non-host game and look at the area the target appears in. Now, on the host switch, go to the time and date setting, turn off sync via internet, and repeatedly select OK on the time and date. If you have a switch 2 for this, you can use the mouse controls to position the cursor where the setting and the OK button overlap to reduce it down to 1 button. Setting the clock this way causes the mass outbreaks to reroll on the host game, and by viewing the map on the other game we can see what they rerolled to without ever needing to exit the settings menu. Since Voltorb isn't a particularly elusive Pokemon, it wasn't long before we got an outbreak. But for an outbreak in a specific location like Wattrel or Basculin, this trick can shave double-digit hours off of outbreak resetting. Yeah, meanwhile, the Koro Scizor is still like $80.
Man, I don't even know if that's good or bad in TCG terms nowadays.
It's one of the more expensive Scizors, though it's still behind Bugsy's and Rocket Scizor EX.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of the like Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon V alt arts that are promos.
Oh, yeah.
Christ, these are $80 now. Oh god, these people need to be stopped.
Hey, shiny Voltorb.
Oh, let's go.
Yippee! He blew up.
He blew up.
I blew up. I blew up.
You just...
You just
refuses
purposely making all
to.
the others explode.
Yeah, just to give a comparison.
This is what's gonna happen to you.
It's gonna happen to you if you don't stay in the ball.
Oh, it's marked.
Oh.
That counts as a backstrike.
It's
The Voltor's like, what? That doesn't count as a backstrike. I was turning around. How dare you? Beast ball.
Ooh, Shaman and Platinum though. Don't throw in the towel.
How dare you?
Otherwise, I will pick up that towel and I will find it before.
All that for 3 damage.
I blew up.
Voltorb is dead.
I blew up.
I blew
You know what's interesting is if you set the Pokeball ID bite with Gen 4 Ace, you can send up Dream Ball Pokemon from Gen 4.
Oh.
Transporter stops them though. Or Transporter stops if you try to do the same with the Beast Ball ID bite. Speaking of. Yippee!
Oh, that was easy.
Blue.
It's easy after the incident.
The
That
Voltorb
is-
situation is crazy.
Method
That was
number
about
12.
one.
Getting there.
Ooh, what's
Easily
next?
mistaken for a Pokeball like colorblind people.
Next is a nature guess.
Right.
It's assy.
Lonely.
It was gold.
Docile. Alright, first we'll get them size checked.
Oh, they were saying it was docile, I'm guessing.
Good sight, bigger than average.
Classic.
Jolly. Jolly with the sleepy time mark.
Oh.
Jolly and sleepy.
I too
Having the
like that.
sweetest dreams. Do you think that Voltorb dream of exploding?
I'd have to imagine.
What if they don't want to explode? Do you ever think about that?
Well, this one clearly did.
On day 6, we started hatching Wooloo using the Masada method as another request from Soft Velvets. For the maximum egg spawn rate, I decided to use an English Wooloo I caught in a Safari Ball paired with a Beast Ball Wooloo from a Japanese player I traded in Pokemon Home. Interestingly, in Sword and Shield as well as Scarlet and Violet, the game gives you 6 additional shiny rolls, meaning with the shiny charm you should have about a 1 in 455 shiny rate. In both games, however, if you have any additional shiny rolls, the initial roll is skipped, bringing it back to 1 in 512. Yippee! Black sheep. 638 eggs. It was a star shiny, which is the more common sparkle type from Masada method. Or just eggs in general. 15 and 16 star, 1 in 16 square. As it's supposed to be, except not really. I have a whole video on it. Basically, if you're doing PID rerolls, you get more stars. If you're doing separate random number and then force the PID to be shiny, if it's not shiny on the very first try, then you get a bunch of squares. Because the only way to get stars in that scenario is for the game to roll a star shiny PID on the very first try and not have to go, actually, we messed up. We didn't roll a shiny PID, just make it a square shiny PID. The player's gonna notice. Except not really, because this all happens as you're loading into the encounter. With arguably the most famous method out of the way, I decided to close out the day relaxing with some more Diglett encounters. You know, you really can get into a routine with these shiny encounters. Sometimes you don't even have to be looking at the screen at all in battle. Struct. Oh, did I run away from a shiny? I was not paying attention. Yeah, I was just fully checked out. That's my bad. I love how the thumbnail is whoops. No one tell Matt. I also did not get a screenshot. I thought about saving every single time we entered a holo just in case, but good to see that that was a good idea that I did not do. Well, before we can mourn too long for our first and hopefully only fail of the challenge, we have another target set by DSE. This time setting our sights on Dratini via Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee's catch combo. This method is pretty much what it says on the tin, in that as you continue your catch combo by catching the same species of Pokemon over and over and over, the next spawn of that species after each catch will get additional shiny rolls. At a catch combo of 31 and beyond, this results in 11 additional shiny rolls, so paired with a shiny charm and, unique to this game, the lure item, that adds an additional shiny roll for a total shiny rate of 1 in 273. One key detail for hunting this way is that we can run from wild Pokemon, but we can't let one run from us or the combo breaks, and the chance for Dratini to fail its check to see if it flees increases as the chain continues. Luckily, if a Pokemon fails one of these flee chances, it will use a special attack animation, which in Dratini's case consists of it shaking its head at us, indicating that we are in danger of breaking the combo. Yeah, it is nice having Japanese Emerald or Japanese Fire Red Leaf Green where you can just get dittos in another language and just send them up. Yeah, so hordes and permutations don't increase your shiny rate, you just get to see more Pokemon. That's why, like, multi-hunting isn't on there. And, like, if we're including multi-hunting as a method, then, like, you know, you've kind of built an infinite method glitch, you know. If you include multi-hunting is 2 consoles a different method than 3 consoles? What about a shiny charm black and white 2 with a regular black and white? Like, the odds are different. Even with a 50% encounter rate, Dratini does still... Oh! Get over here. I was gonna say, Dratini does manage to be elusive, but... There's our shiny. That wasn't an excellent. Oh, and you immediately failed your flea chance. Okay. There we go. $81, not nearly as punishing as some of my other catch combo shinies. Tentacool, I think, was somewhere in the 200s, and then Scyther, I think, got into the high 300s, almost 400s, so... Having hopefully balanced the scales from our shiny fail just a little bit, we began day 7 still in Kanto as we had one other method left to complete. Remember that extra shiny roll from the lure I mentioned a little while ago? As its own separate boost to the shiny odds, we still needed to find another shiny while under its effect to check it off our list. To this end, I decided to head over to Kanto Route 12, which has this little fenced-off patch of grass that is perfect for just watching spawns go by without them being able to reach you. And so we got to relive the heyday of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee shiny hunting back when everyone thought the best practice was just to idle and wait for the shiny to come to you. Oh, that was fast. H. I don't think silver pineapple berries actually increase your catch rate in this game. It's just that easy. Now some of you may be wondering why I haven't gone for some of the fastest methods yet, and that's mostly because I wanted to put them later in the Shiny-thon so viewers would have more of a chance to choose targets before I snap them all up. With DSE requesting Sprout from chain fishing, we were weapons free to hunt one of the fastest shiny methods across the entire series. To chain fish in Generation 6, all you have to do is reel in Pokemon one after another with no failed casts. While there is a little randomness in whether or not you get a bite, having solid tiles around your bobber and a Pokemon with suction cups or sticky hold eliminates the RNG entirely, making this purely a test of reflexes. Every consecutive reel adds 2 additional shiny rolls up to a maximum chain of 20, which adds a ludicrous 40 rolls to every encounter past that point. Basically think of it like getting an extra shiny charm for each battle in your chain. It's Speaking of which, with the shiny charm added on top, this brings our shiny rate to a staggering 1 in 95 when our chain is maxed out. Wow. All that, and we didn't even get the actual target. It's a casual, like, triple odds chainfish. But I'll take it. I'd rather go triple odds on the easiest method than triple odds on the hardest, you know? Netball is a nice color match. With one full week of the Shiny-thon behind us, we were still on the pace I wanted to set by having completed about 2 new methods per day. Things were definitely due to slow down as we approached the end, as the methods that remained were slowly leaning towards those that had the lowest encounter rates across the series. We aren't out of fast hunts just yet, however. On Fridays, I usually like to take a day off streaming, but to keep up the pace, I wanted to cash in on 2 of the fastest methods that I had been putting off. First up is the Ultra Warp Ride, specifically when dealing with Ultra Wormholes that do not contain a Legendary or Ultra Beast Pokemon. In these pockets of Ultra Space, the shiny rate starts at a flat 1%, spiking up based on how flashy the wormhole you entered was and how far into the Ultra Warp Ride you made it. At its peak, the shiny rate maxes out at a truly absurd 36% at 5,000 light years in a Tier 4 Ultra Wormhole. There is the caveat that Legendary Pokemon are guaranteed to spawn if there's one available in these highest tier dimensions, only yielding normal spawns when that color is completely cleared out. The Tier 3 Ultra Wormholes are no slouch either, boasting a maximum 19% shiny rate. The shininess of these non-legendary spawns is also predetermined when you arrive in Ultra Space, so saving in front of it guarantees a painless capture. Has a Donutmon been chosen yet? No. No target chosen for Ultra Warp Ride, no target chosen for Donut. Well, that's the thing is with the easy methods, I was waiting for people to get an opportunity to choose one. Okay, I should probably just take this wormhole. I was waiting for people to get an opportunity to choose one, and then that way it would be, it wouldn't be like I do all the easy methods first and no one gets a chance, but given that it's been over a week and no one's chosen a target for this method. It's just that easy. First wormhole. Heliolisk could actually look really nice in a fastball. I do have one. Where's my Spore False Swipe Breloom? I have a False Swipe Hypnosis Mew. There we go. Oh, hey, we got an item too. The other method I decided to get done today is another one that's so easy you can just declare that you want a shiny and then go out and get it like you're going to the shiny store. As user Royal Leo Knight requested that we hunt for Espeon using Sparkling Power Donuts in Hyperspace Lumios. Nearly identical to that of Sandwiches, Kalos' iteration of Sparkling Power also grants one additional shiny roll per level. But with Legend ZA having a slightly more powerful shiny charm, the shiny rate winds up at around 1 in 585. The biggest difference compared to Sandwiches is what happens when Ancha whips up a level 3 donut. If the corresponding type of donut is equipped, the first spawn in a hyperspace distortion of that type is guaranteed to be shiny, making getting a specific species of shiny more a matter of getting the correct spawner near the distortion entrance. Because I disqualified other guaranteed shinies from this challenge, I decided the same would apply to the guaranteed shinies here. Honestly, hunting in hyperspace more boils down to actually getting a distortion with the species you want, and then getting a donut of the corresponding type when Ancha and Hoopa are frustratingly random with the whole thing. There's the evolution distortion. First special scan. I mean, that was the only thing that could have given us what we were looking for from a special scan, so we either want Sparkling Power Psychic or Sparkling Power All Types. Okay. Literally just come back and immediately get the exact donut we're looking for. First try. Oh, no alpha power, reset. Oh. There we go. I just needed to run some laps. There we go. Yippee! Let's go catch the Umbreon. There we go. As day 9 dawns, we've exhausted all of the methods that could be considered quick or easy, with each of the 4 remaining methods having a much lower time per encounter, not much of a boost, or both. First up is a method that I don't engage with nearly as much as you'd think considering how fun they are, Dynamax Adventures. Twitch viewer DDR2001 set our sights on Zygardes, widely considered to be the strongest boss of the Max Layer. Even if we don't make it past Zygarde, the slow time per encounter here is well compensated, with a flat 1 in 300 shiny rate that's brought up to 1 in 100 with the shiny charm equipped. It's generally considered to be a matter of sheer luck whether or not a given path has even a chance to defeat Zygarde consistently, with multiple ground-type spread moves to shred through your remaining lives, 1,000 arrows to hit Pokemon that are normally immune to ground, and the ability Power Construct to heal itself back up if it ends the turn below half HP. That's pretty good, I would say. I'm tempted to throw a rare ball and just reset if it's not good. Or reset if it's not shiny, but... yeah, if you can KO it from above half down to 0 in one turn, it doesn't turn into Zygarde complete. Which is, I think, going to be the main weakness of Zygarde in Ranked. When it comes to champions. No Sneasel. Oh! There's our Dynamax Adventure shiny. Ribombee, please live this Dynamax adventure. Ribombee! No Persian. No Zygarde. I mean, I'm kind of tempted to... that's an actually pretty decent Zygarde path. The triple axle plus Ribombee path. I think I soft reset here and take Ribombee here. With the method I expected to spend the whole day on out of the way on the second Dynamax adventure, I decided to crack into one of the last 3 methods that we haven't tried yet, the Brilliant Encounter method. Now, if there's any method I'm confident the fewest people watching this have actually tried to hunt with, it would either be Lucky Power or this one. If you've played Sword and Shield, you may have noticed occasional overworld spawns with this glowy yellow aura coming off of them. These are known as Brilliant Encounters and begin appearing once you've defeated at least one of that species. Simply by being brilliant, these Pokemon are guaranteed to be the maximum level for the area, have 2 or 3 perfect IVs, know at least one of that species' egg moves, and has at least 1 additional shiny roll. I say at least 1 because how many exactly also depends on how many KOs you've accumulated for that specific species. As you knock out more and more of a species, the Brilliant Encounters will become more likely and carry more shiny rolls up to a maximum of 6 additional shiny rolls at 500 KOs. Their encounter rate is unfortunately not so generous, and maxes out at 3% upon reaching 100 KOs. Brilliant Encounters are clearly supposed to be a fun little bonus when you're just doing random encounters, but as a dedicated shiny hunting method, they are dreadfully slow. You can get higher Brilliant rates up to 28% by chain fishing around Galar, but annoyingly, unlike in Kalos, as soon as you get a boosted shiny rate spawn with a Brilliant fishing spot, the Brilliant rate craters back down to 1 to 3%. The most draining thing about this method is that each species is tracked separately, making achieving the maximum shiny rate across 5 or 6 species a Herculean task. Meanwhile, the target that user Mr. McCreathen chose for us, Riolu, is a base 5% encounter no matter where in Galar we look. To give Riolu a fighting chance, I decided to date skip until we got a Pokédex recommendation for it, bumping it up to a 16.25% encounter rate instead, allowing us to reach 100 battles, bringing the shiny rate for Brilliant Riolu to around 1 in 683. I also went ahead and knocked out 20 of each species that spawns here in the Roaring Sea Caves to get them all to a 2% chance of spawning as Brilliant, and giving them each a 1 in 1024 shiny rate. Lastly, I settled on saving in front of each Brilliant Pokemon and then knocking them out so that the auto counter could see the "You gained 301 watts" message, which is the only real way for it to distinguish from regular encounters. Kicking off day 10, it was time to return to the egg mines. I steeled myself knowing that with these last few methods we were getting into the territory of potentially going entire days dedicated to one method. The shiny gene egg is arguably the least intentional method of this quest, as I've never been able to find confirmation that the effect passing down specific DVs has on shininess was an intended side effect. Intentional or no, the shiny gene is when one parent in a breeding pair has a 10 in defense and either 2 or 10 in special. These DVs are passed down to their opposite gender offspring, guaranteeing the 10 defense and having a 50% chance to pass down a 10 in special. Both required DVs to be a shiny. The shiny rate of this method entirely depends on what proportion of eggs will be inheriting from the shiny gene parent, reaching a peak of 1 in 64 if every egg is inheriting from the one shiny gene parent. The big exception to this opposite gender rule is Ditto, who always passes down its DVs to every egg. As a result, if your Ditto has a 10 in defense and a 2 or 10 in special, you can guarantee the 1 in 64 shiny rate for any species regardless of gender ratio. We started off this hunt with Flamewheel Rattata as requested by SH Retro as our target, before another chat member, Dreyork, changed the target to Girafarig. Interestingly, Girafarig is completely absent in the wild here in Crystal, as are other newly minted Johto species like Mareep, Remoraid, and their evolutions. Weirdly enough, Remoraid does still have data in this game relating to the mass outbreaks it could do in Gold and Silver, and the developers just unhooked that event from the NPC who normally triggers said swarms. There we go. Blue giraffe. It is a wild shiny. Like, look at it. Its stadium shiny actually reminds me of Farigiraf almost. Farigiraf shiny. But just Stadium 2 just has this habit of having wildly different shinies. Like maybe I'll throw up Porygon 2's shiny on the screen here, but like it's like a teal and yellow. It's very strange. And according to Dreyork, this Girafarig is to be named Gif. Pronounced Gifrafarig. There we go. Method number 20. Finishing out our 20th method and only method in Generation 2, we now only had 2 method shinies remaining, both in Generation 8. Knowing how slow Brilliant Encounters had been up to this point, I decided to launch a full-scale effort into finding another shiny in the Grand Underground. As part of nicknaming Audition Let's Go Pikachu, Matt had also decided to change our target here to Absol. Placing down all the Dark-type statues I had on hand, we actually managed to reach the 3rd level of Dark-type statue effect to maximize our chances of seeing another. Guy who ignores the shiny sound again. Hold on. I saved when I entered this time. I did that on purpose? Surprisingly not. Surprisingly, I am just that dumb. We're very lucky that it does generate the PIDs when you enter. I don't have the ability to put it to sleep with Mew in this generation. Mom 2 does have Hypnosis, but only in Sword and Shield, because it's part of their bank moveset. It used to work on electric types? Yes. So in Generation... I want to say Generation 6, electric types became immune to paralysis. Which is weird because, like, poison types were always immune to poison, and fire types were always immune to burn. And I'm pretty sure ice types were always immune to freeze. It was just that electric types could still be paralyzed. There we go. We got one? Yep. I definitely didn't run from this one and have it saved by the fact that I saved at the entrance of the hideaway again. That top 10 things that never happened during the Shiny-thon. Narrowly avoiding a second shiny fail in the exact same cavern, we are pushed inexorably into the waiting jaws of our last method and its blistering 20 to 30 encounters per hour. The one saving grace is that as we knock out more of each species, we'll eventually hit the milestones for raising their brilliant rate to get more and more shiny rolls. While we could isolate this hunt down to just Riolu by refusing to engage with the other brilliant spawns, I don't find the idea of doing 4 or 5 encounters per hour particularly appealing. Unfortunately, waking up on day 11, I knew that there was nothing waiting for us but more brilliant encounters. Nothing happened this day. Almost despawned this Larvitar. Yo, okay. The Shiny-thon is complete. That is a brilliant, shiny Piloswine. A 12-day endeavor, 22 shiny methods. We have an ad break going right now. Well, ain't that just the way? But yeah, I was thinking that this would probably take at least 2 weeks. Can you tell that Piloswine is asleep here? Guaranteed not to KO there because it didn't do half the first time. And there we go. And I know you didn't choose Piloswine as your target, McCreathen, but that's just the way it goes. I did the Dex recommendation and everything, so let none say that I didn't attempt to get Riolu. Although, I suppose you could say that I didn't isolate it down to Riolu only, which I could have done, but chose not to because we would be at, like, 150 encounters if I did that. Let's see the IVs as well. Oh yeah, we got to see what egg move we got, too. That is Timid. We got Curse as our egg move. I believe the egg move is always in the third, or in the fourth slot when doing the Brilliant encounter. Curse is actually an egg move from Torkoal, which is funny because I gave up on the Torkoal. It did get Double Edge as an egg move, so there was a little risk to that, but I did save in front of it. That was the whole point of saving in front of every single one. We know it is Timid. And it has a sleepy time mark. Alrighty. So that is going to do it for the Shiny-thon. We found Girafarig in Gen 2 with the Shiny Gene method, Spoink with the Gen 4 Radar, Wooloo with the Gen 8 Masada method, Dwebble with the Gen 5 Lucky Power S, Horsey with the Gen 6 Chain Fishing method, Heracross with the Gen 6 Friend Safari, Pancham with the Gen 6 Radar, Dredagon with the Gen 6 Dex Nav, Zorua with the Gen 7 SOS Battle, Heliolisk with the Gen 7 Ultra Warp Ride, Dratini with a Gen 7 Catch Combo, Oddish with the Gen 7 Lure, Piloswine with a Gen 8 Brilliant Encounter, Ribombee with a Gen 8 Dynamax Adventure, Flaffy with the Grand Underground Diglett bonus, Glameow with the Gen 8 Poke Radar, Snorunt with Gen 8 Pokedex Research, Basculin with Gen 8 Mass Outbreaks, Kirlia with Gen 8 Massive Mass Outbreaks, Rellor with a Gen 9 Sparkling Power Sandwich, Voltorb with a Gen 9 Mass Outbreak in Paldea, and Espeon with a Gen 9 Sparkling Power Donut. So, huge thank you to everyone who donated to choose targets or to have certain Pokemon Ribbon mastered, I will definitely be making a video about this. And thank you for the overwhelming support for this idea.